Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching us, or I'm going to be explaining to us the 4 keys to teaching a perfect phonics lesson. Now, when I talk about phonics, or before I go into phonics anyway, please, you're welcome to my channel again. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to click on the subscription button and also to click on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload new videos. Okay, so back to the topic of today. So I'm going to be showing you 4 major steps to take to have a successful phonics lesson. Now, when I mean phonics, I mean, of course, the teaching of sounds to enable children read. Okay, now some people don't have specific or particular lesson devoted to phonics, while others do. And I would encourage anyone, if you don't, please do that, because you're going to see the massive improvement it will make in the life of your children when you have a dedicated phonics lesson. Okay, so I'm just going to be sharing with you the 4 key steps to a successful phonics lesson. And the first one is to revisit and review. Now, if you have taught previous sounds in the lesson, what you need to do, the first thing you need to do is to go back and revisit those sounds. Now, I've got some flashcards here. These are not a phonics flashcard. I took my flashcard to work and I left it there, so I didn't bring it back home. But this is just an example of what you can do. Okay, so if you've taught the children, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 sounds previously, now the first step to your phonics lesson is you need to revisit the sounds. So you get those cards together, and all you need to do is just hold it up so the children can see it, and they tell you what it is, and you move it up to the next one. Okay, so flash it, and then this way, if you've got like a TA in the classroom supporting you, now your TA's job can be to look out for the children who might be struggling. Okay, so that way you are also doing some formative assessment going as well. So your TA can then tell you later, oh, this child did not know what this letter was, or this child is struggling to remember what this letter is. So at that point in time, your TA is watching to see which children are struggling, and you as a teacher as well, you're listening out to what the children are saying, and to point out children who are struggling, which you need to go back and visit those sounds with them. Okay, so once you've done the visit of sounds, then the next thing you need to do is to teach the new sound. Okay, so you get your new sound. Let's say, for instance, your new sound is ah. So you get your new sound, and then you introduce the sound to them. Let the children repeat after you, and then some phonics schemes come with stories as well as the sound. So you might tell the story, or you might do the action, whatever it is that comes with your phonics scheme at that point in time. You can do it to help the children remember that sound. And then after the teaching of the new sound, now at this point in time, you can also introduce the new high frequency word. Now, it's a good practice to teach children high frequency word as you go along in a phonics lesson, because as I said in my previous I'm going to put the card up for those of you who haven't watched my previous lesson about common exception words or high frequency words, how you can teach those. Another way you can do that is in a phonics lesson. While the lesson is going on, you can also teach a high frequency word or a common exception word. Okay, so what you do at this point in time, you introduce. Now, when you felt that the children have understood the new sound that you are teaching, then you can then introduce the high frequency word. So maybe your high frequency word might be the. Okay, you introduce that, repeat it several times, whatever you want to do with it, you do with it, and then you get the children to know that that's the high frequency words that you are doing for today. And then, of course, with your teaching, you also incorporate some blending and segmenting. So for instance, if I'm teaching the sound ah for the day, what I need to do is I need to come up with words that have the sound ah in them. Now, I am going to practice segmenting the word and blending it together so the children can actually see. So basically, you are modeling, as the teacher, you are modeling the act of segmenting and blending to the children so that they understand, okay, this is what I need to do when I also read. So for instance, if I have the word bag, okay, I might take my flashcards that have each of these sounds, but g, okay, and I'm going to put them together. Maybe lie them together on a whiteboard if I have a whiteboard next to me. Lie them together, and then physically pull the words apart and then show the children that this sound is B, this one is A, and this is G. And then I'm going to physically pull this cards together and I'm going to go bag. Now, some schools and some people use sound buttons. Okay, so you can also use your finger to show the sound buttons as you're teaching them the segmenting and blending. But then in your teaching of the new sounds, you also have the segmenting and the blending, which is the third step. Now, the fourth step to a successful phonics lesson is to apply. Now, when I mean apply, you can go ahead as a teacher and write some words that have the R sound with them on the board and get the children to practice segmenting and blending those words. Now, you can also go ahead and call out some words that have the R sound in them and get the children to write this on their whiteboards. Then you can go around at this point and have a look and see what they've written. At this point in time, this is where also you are correcting those maybe who've written the letters the wrong way. Then you help them and say, no, you write the R this way. Now, some schemes have mnemonics, so which things that help you to help the children to write the letter. So for instance, we use letters and sounds. Letters and sounds had ways to write. For instance, the letter A, we go around the apple and down the leaf. Okay, so if the children are still at that phase where they're still learning how to write, you can do that with them and then get them to practice writing the A several times. And then, of course, you carry on with your lesson, with your segmenting and blending. So at this point in time, you're still going around and checking to see what they're writing, that it makes sense and that they're doing the right thing. And then the last stage is the apply phase. Okay, so this is where you then put the high frequency word that you've learned for the day and the sound in a word and then put it into a sentence. So you come up with a sentence, maybe for instance, the bag is red. And then you practice writing this on the board with the children's help. The sentence has the high frequency word which has been thought for the lesson, and then a word that has the sound that you're teaching as well. So that way the children can see the whole thing in context. Okay, and then you practice that. Then you might ask another child to come up with a sentence that the whole class would like to write, and then they do that. And at this point, if you have any game that to help solidify the children's learning that you want them to do, this is still the apply phase, then they can go ahead and do this maybe on the carpet or back on their tables. They can do that in little groups, and then you can all come back, pull the class together again, and just go through quickly the sound that was learned for that day to make sure that you end on that note. And that is it. There you have your well thought out phonics lesson. I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the steps again. You revisit and review, you teach new sound, you model segmenting and blending, and then you apply. Okay, I hope you've learned one or two things, and I hope that's been useful. Please leave a comment in the section, the comment section below, or question, or if you have another method how you teach phonics and you think it works perfectly well, please feel free to share, and I'm happy to learn. Okay, have a wonderful week. Bye.